Everything you desire is already on its way to you. Take a moment and truly let those words sink in. What if the life you've been dreaming about is not somewhere in the distant future? What if the abundance, success, opportunities, peace, love, and prosperity you seek are already moving toward you at this very moment? Most people spend their lives chasing what they want, believing they must struggle, force, and fight their way to fulfillment. But there is a deeper truth. Reality begins within. The moment you accept something as yours in consciousness, a process begins that eventually brings it into physical form. Today, I want to share a powerful understanding that has transformed countless lives. This understanding is simple, yet life-changing. You do not attract what you want, you experience what you consistently assume to be true. The outer world is always reflecting your inner state. Change the assumption, and you change the reflection. As you listen, set aside your doubts, your fears, and the evidence of your current circumstances. Open yourself to the possibility that what you desire is not far away. It is not impossible. It is not being withheld from you. It is already finding its way to you. Your only task is to become the person who confidently expects it. Let's begin. One of the most powerful truths you can ever understand is that your desire is not an accident. It is not a random thought that appeared in your mind without purpose. Every deep desire carries a message. It reveals a possibility that already exists within the realm of potential and is waiting for your acceptance. Most people spend years questioning their desires. They wonder if they are being unrealistic, dreaming too big, or wanting something that can never happen. Yet the very presence of a desire suggests something entirely different. The fact that you can conceive of a greater life, imagine a different circumstance, or feel drawn toward a particular outcome is evidence that there is more available to you than your current experience may indicate. Think about it for a moment. Before any invention existed in the world, it first existed as an idea in someone's imagination. Before every great achievement became visible, it was invisible. Before every transformation occurred in reality, it existed as a possibility in the mind of an individual who dared to believe in it. The imagination is not merely a place where fantasies are created. It is the doorway through which new realities enter experience. What you can consistently imagine and emotionally accept has the potential to become a living fact in your world. Many people mistakenly believe that desire creates suffering. In truth, it is resistance to desire that creates suffering. When a person constantly focuses on why they cannot have what they want, they create an inner conflict. One part of them longs for expansion, while another part insists that expansion is impossible. This internal struggle produces frustration, doubt, and discouragement. But the moment you stop fighting your desire and begin accepting it as meaningful, everything starts to change. Instead of seeing your desire as a source of lack, you begin seeing it as a signpost pointing toward a greater version of yourself. Your desires often reveal who you are becoming. The desire for abundance may not simply be about money. It may reflect a deeper longing for freedom, contribution, and expansion. The desire for a loving relationship may not simply be about another person. It may reflect a deeper readiness to experience connection, joy, and companionship. The desire for success may not simply be about achievement. It may represent a calling to express your talents and fulfill your potential. Behind every genuine desire is an invitation to grow beyond your current limitations and step into a larger experience of life. The challenge is that many people judge their desires based on current circumstances. They look at their bank account, their environment, their past failures, or the opinions of others, and conclude that their dream is unrealistic. Yet circumstances only reflect what has been accepted in the past. They do not determine what is possible in the future. If you allow present conditions to dictate what you believe, you remain trapped in the same cycle. But when you begin trusting your inner vision more than your outer circumstances, you activate a completely different way of living. There is a reason certain dreams refuse to leave your mind. There is a reason some goals continue to inspire you no matter how much time passes. There is a reason you keep returning to the same vision again and again. These persistent desires are often calling you toward a new reality. They are encouraging you to move beyond what is familiar and embrace what is possible. Rather than dismissing them, learn to honor them. Rather than doubting them, learn to explore them. Rather than fearing them, learn to accept them. The moment you recognize that desire is evidence rather than fantasy, your relationship with life begins to shift. You stop seeing yourself as someone desperately trying to obtain something outside of yourself. Instead, you begin to understand that your desire is revealing a reality that is already available for you to enter. Your task is not to force it into existence. Your task is to align yourself with it, believe in it, and allow it to become natural within your consciousness. So whenever a powerful desire arises within you, do not ask, "Why can't I have this?" Ask a different question. What if this desire is showing me what is already possible? That single shift in perspective can transform everything. The desire itself is not the problem. The desire is the invitation. It is evidence that a greater reality is calling your name, waiting for you to accept it as your own. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that they must wait for their circumstances to change before they can feel successful, abundant, loved, or fulfilled. They tell themselves, "When I get the money, I'll feel secure. When I find the relationship, I'll feel loved. When I achieve the goal, I'll feel confident." But this way of thinking keeps the desired reality forever in the future. It creates a constant cycle of waiting, hoping, and chasing. The truth is that the inner experience must come first. The feeling of fulfillment is not the reward that arrives after manifestation. It is the very cause that brings manifestation into being. To live from the wish fulfilled means to mentally and emotionally occupy the state of the person who already has what they desire. It means asking yourself a simple but transformative question. How would I think, feel, and perceive life if my desire were already a reality? Most people spend their days focused on what is missing. Their attention is fixed on problems, delays, and obstacles. As a result, they continue to reinforce the very conditions they wish to escape. But when you begin thinking and feeling from the end result instead of toward it, you create a completely different inner atmosphere. Imagine someone who desires financial abundance. If they constantly think about debt, lack, and limitation, they remain emotionally attached to the state they wish to leave behind. Their dominant focus continues to be scarcity. However, if they begin cultivating the mindset of someone who already feels secure and abundant, their relationship with life changes. They no longer make decisions from fear. They no longer define themselves by temporary conditions. They begin carrying themselves differently because they are no longer mentally living in lack. They are mentally living in fulfillment. This principle applies to every area of life. A person seeking love often focuses on loneliness. A person seeking success often focuses on failure. A person seeking health often focuses on symptoms. Yet what occupies the mind most consistently tends to shape experience. Living from the wish fulfilled means shifting your attention away from the absence of what you want and placing it on the experience of already having it. It is not pretending, it is not denying reality, it is choosing which reality you give your emotional energy to. Many people ask, "How can I feel as though it is already done when I cannot see any evidence?" The answer is simple because the inner state must come before the outer evidence. If you require proof before you believe, you remain dependent on circumstances. But when you can generate the feeling before the evidence appears, you become the source of change rather than the observer of conditions. The external world may take time to reflect your new state, but the transformation begins the moment your inner assumptions change. Living from the wish fulfilled also requires persistence. There will be moments when circumstances seem unchanged. There will be days when doubts attempt to return. The temptation will be to abandon your new state and return to old patterns of thinking. This is where consistency becomes essential. Every time you choose the feeling of fulfillment over the appearance of lack, you strengthen the new reality within yourself. Every time you return to the assumption that your desire is already yours, you deepen your identification with that state. Think of an actor fully immersed in a role. For the duration of the performance, they do not constantly remind themselves that they are pretending. They enter the character completely. In a similar way, you are invited to enter the version of yourself who already possesses the life you desire. Feel the confidence, feel the gratitude, feel the peace, feel the certainty. Allow these emotions to become familiar rather than occasional visitors. The remarkable thing is that when you consistently live from the wish fulfilled, your actions begin to change naturally. You no longer force yourself to behave differently. New choices emerge because your self-concept has changed. Opportunities become more visible. Ideas arrive more easily. Confidence grows. The world begins responding to the person you have become internally. So stop waiting for the future to give you permission to feel fulfilled. The future is shaped by the state you occupy today. Dare to feel now what you have been postponing until later. Dare to think from the end rather than toward it. Dare to embody the version of yourself who already has what you desire. When you do, you are no longer chasing a dream. You are living from the reality that is already taking form, and step by step, life begins reflecting that inner assumption back to you. One of the greatest challenges on the journey toward any desire is learning not to be controlled by what you see in front of you. Most people allow present circumstances to determine what they believe is possible. They look at their current situation and assume it is a permanent reality. If money is scarce, they believe abundance is far away. If opportunities seem limited, they conclude success is unlikely. If their relationships are struggling, they assume happiness is out of reach. In doing so, they unknowingly give their present circumstances authority over their future. But true transformation begins when you understand that current appearances are not final. They are simply the visible results of past thoughts, beliefs, assumptions, and reactions. The world around you is constantly changing. Nothing remains fixed forever. Every condition that exists today was once invisible. Every circumstance had a beginning. Because circumstances were created, they can also be changed. The problem is that many people become emotionally attached to what they currently see. They repeatedly focus on limitations, replay disappointments in their minds, and expect the future to look exactly like the past. As a result, they continue recreating the same experiences. What they expect becomes what they notice, and what they notice strengthens what they expect. Imagine planting a seed in the ground. The moment you plant it, there is no visible evidence that growth has begun. If you judged the seed only by what you could see on the surface, you might conclude that nothing is happening. Yet beneath the soil, an invisible process is already underway. Roots are forming, life is emerging. Growth is occurring long before it becomes visible. The same principle applies to every transformation in life. Just because you cannot see immediate evidence does not mean movement is absent. Much of the most important work happens before there is any outward sign of change. Many people abandon their dreams because they become discouraged by appearances. They begin with enthusiasm, but when circumstances fail to change quickly, doubt enters the mind. They start asking questions like, what if it doesn't work? Or what if nothing changes? Their focus shifts from possibility to fear. The moment they do this, they give more attention to what they want to escape than to what they want to create. The external world becomes their source of truth instead of their inner vision. The ability to ignore present appearances does not mean denying reality or pretending challenges do not exist. It means refusing to give temporary conditions the power to define your future. It means recognizing that circumstances are information, not destiny. They tell you where you have been mentally and emotionally, but they do not determine where you are going. When you understand this distinction, you stop reacting to every setback as if it were a final verdict. Instead, you view challenges as passing conditions that can be transformed. History is filled with examples of people who succeeded because they refused to accept appearances as the ultimate truth. Long before their achievements became visible, they held on to a vision that others could not see. They trusted a possibility greater than their current circumstances. While others focused on obstacles, they focused on outcomes. While others saw reasons to quit, they saw reasons to persist. Their success was not born from favorable circumstances. It was born from a refusal to let circumstances dictate belief. Your own life operates according to the same principle. The conditions you face today may seem convincing. They may appear solid and permanent, but appearances are often temporary reflections of past states of mind. The moment you change your dominant assumptions, you begin setting new causes into motion. The outer world may not change overnight, but the process has already begun. Every day you remain faithful to your vision, despite contradictory appearances. You strengthen the reality you are creating. This requires discipline. It requires choosing faith over fear and possibility over limitation. It requires returning again and again to the end result you desire, even when your senses tell a different story. The world will often tempt you to react to what is visible, but lasting change comes from remaining loyal to what is invisible until it becomes visible. So whenever circumstances appear unfavorable, remember that appearances are not permanent truths. They are snapshots, not destinies. They are effects, not causes. Refuse to let temporary conditions persuade you to abandon your vision. Hold firmly to the reality you have accepted within yourself. Continue thinking from the end you desire. Continue feeling as though it is already possible. And trust that what exists in consciousness today will eventually find expression in the world around you. The appearance may be temporary, but the vision you hold has the power to reshape it. Whether you realize it or not, you are engaged in conversations every single day. Some of these conversations happen with other people, but the most influential conversations happen within your own mind. From the moment you wake up until the moment you fall asleep, there is an ongoing dialogue taking place inside you. You comment on events, evaluate situations, imagine future outcomes, replay past experiences, and silently speak to yourself about who you are and what is possible. These inner conversations may seem insignificant, but they are among the most powerful creative forces in your life. They shape your beliefs, influence your emotions, direct your actions, and ultimately help determine the experiences that appear in your world. Most people underestimate the impact of their internal dialogue because it has become so familiar. They do not notice how often they speak words of limitation to themselves. They silently repeat phrases such as, "Things never work out for me," "I'm not good enough," "Success is difficult," or I'll probably fail. These thoughts may appear harmless because they are never spoken aloud, yet they leave a lasting impression on the mind. Over time, repeated thoughts become accepted beliefs, and accepted beliefs begin influencing the way a person experiences reality. What starts as an inner conversation eventually becomes an outer condition. Think about how often people mentally rehearse negative outcomes before they happen. They imagine rejection before speaking. They anticipate problems before beginning a project. They create arguments in their minds before meeting someone. In many cases, they are spending valuable creative energy reinforcing situations they do not want. The mind responds to repeated impressions, whether they are positive or negative. If you continually rehearse failure, disappointment, and lack, you become emotionally connected to those states. If you repeatedly entertain thoughts of success, confidence, abundance, and fulfillment, you begin establishing a different internal foundation. The quality of your life is deeply connected to the quality of your inner conversations. Every time you talk to yourself, you are defining your relationship with reality. You are either reinforcing limitation or expanding possibility. You are either agreeing with fear or aligning with confidence. This is why becoming aware of your internal dialogue is so important. The moment you begin listening to the conversations taking place within you, you gain the ability to transform them. Imagine for a moment that your inner conversations were being broadcast through a speaker for everyone to hear. Would they reflect confidence, abundance, and expectation? Or would they reveal worry, doubt, and insecurity? Many people are surprised when they honestly examine their internal dialogue. They discover that they spend more time imagining problems than solutions. They spend more time expecting setbacks than opportunities. Yet the good news is that inner conversations can be changed. Just because you have thought a certain way in the past does not mean you must continue doing so. The process begins with conscious awareness. Pay attention to the words you use internally. Notice how you speak about yourself, your future, your finances, your relationships, and your goals. When you catch yourself engaging in negative self-talk, do not condemn yourself. Simply redirect the conversation. Replace thoughts of failure with thoughts of possibility. Replace feelings of lack with feelings of abundance. Replace doubt with confidence. This is not about repeating empty affirmations while secretly feeling defeated. It is about genuinely choosing a new perspective and nurturing it consistently. One powerful practice is to imagine conversations that imply your desire has already been fulfilled. Hear someone congratulating you on your success. Imagine a friend expressing happiness for your achievement. Picture yourself speaking confidently about the reality you desire. These mental conversations create emotional impressions that gradually influence your beliefs. As these beliefs become stronger, your behavior naturally begins to align with them. Over time, your inner conversations become your dominant state of consciousness. They influence how you interpret events, how you respond to challenges, and how you perceive opportunities. A person whose inner dialogue is filled with confidence will approach life differently than someone whose thoughts are dominated by fear. The difference is not merely psychological, it affects choices, actions, relationships, and results. Never underestimate the creative power of what you repeatedly say to yourself. Every inner conversation is planting seeds. Some seeds produce limitation, while others produce expansion. Some create fear, while others create faith. The choice is always yours. Begin speaking inwardly as the version of yourself you wish to become. Let your thoughts reflect fulfillment rather than lack. Let your mental conversations support your vision rather than contradict it. The voice within you is shaping your future every day. Make it a voice of confidence, expectation, and possibility. When your inner conversations change, your assumptions change. When your assumptions change, your experience begins to change. And eventually, the world around you starts reflecting the conversations you have been holding within all along. Here's the final section of your speech. One of the most difficult yet rewarding lessons in life is learning to trust what you cannot yet see. We live in a world that constantly encourages us to rely on visible evidence. We are taught to believe only what appears before our eyes and to measure progress by immediate results. Yet many of the most important forces in life are invisible. You cannot see faith, but it changes people. You cannot see thoughts, but they shape destinies. You cannot see the process by which a dream becomes reality, but that process is taking place long before the final result appears. This is why trust is so powerful. It allows you to remain confident even when there is no outward proof that your desire is approaching. Most people become discouraged because they mistake silence for inactivity. When they do not see instant movement, they assume nothing is happening. When results do not appear according to their preferred timeline, they begin doubting the outcome itself. Yet reality often works in ways that are hidden from immediate observation. Opportunities are being prepared. Circumstances are shifting. New connections are forming. Events are aligning. Countless factors are moving into place behind the scenes, even when everything on the surface appears unchanged. The absence of visible evidence is not evidence of absence. Consider how nature operates. A seed planted in the ground does not become a tree overnight. For a period of time, nothing appears to be happening. Yet beneath the surface, an extraordinary process is underway. Roots are spreading, strength is developing, and life is organizing itself according to a natural pattern of growth. If someone dug up the seed every day to check its progress, they would interfere with the very process they hope to accelerate. In the same way, constantly questioning your desire, worrying about when it will happen, or searching for proof can weaken your sense of certainty. Trust allows growth to continue undisturbed. Many people unknowingly delay their own progress because they keep shifting between belief and doubt. One day they feel confident, and the next day they feel discouraged. One moment they trust the outcome, and the next they fear it may never happen. This inconsistency creates an inner conflict. It is like pressing the accelerator and the brake at the same time. Forward movement becomes difficult because opposing forces are operating simultaneously. Trust, on the other hand, creates harmony. It allows you to remain aligned with your vision regardless of temporary appearances. There is great power in understanding that you do not need to know how your desire will arrive. The mind often wants to control every detail. It wants to understand every step and predict every outcome. But many of life's greatest blessings arrive through unexpected channels. Opportunities appear from places you never considered. Solutions emerge when you least expect them. People enter your life at exactly the right moment. Paths open that were previously invisible. When you become overly attached to a specific method, you limit your ability to recognize the many ways life can work on your behalf. Trusting the unseen movement means releasing the need to constantly monitor progress. It means believing that the process is unfolding even when you cannot see it. It means remaining faithful to your vision during periods of uncertainty. This does not require blind optimism. It requires confidence in the understanding that inner causes eventually produce outer effects. What has been accepted and sustained within consciousness has a way of expressing itself through experience. There will be moments when doubt attempts to return. There will be times when circumstances seem to challenge your faith. In those moments, remember that temporary conditions do not determine final outcomes. The journey from possibility to reality often includes periods where nothing appears to be changing. Yet these periods are frequently the very moments when the greatest unseen movement is occurring. Just because you cannot perceive it does not mean it is not happening. The most successful people in any field learn to trust the process before the results arrive. They continue moving forward because they believe in the destination. They remain committed because they understand that persistence and faith work together. They do not allow temporary delays to convince them that their vision is impossible. So choose trust over worry. Choose expectation over fear. Choose faith over doubt. Allow yourself to believe that life is working in ways you cannot yet fully understand. Every day, unseen forces are moving pieces into place. Every day, possibilities are drawing closer. Every day, the reality you have accepted within is finding a pathway into expression. Trust the unseen movement. Trust the process. Trust the unfolding. And most importantly, trust that everything you desire is already on its way to you. As we come to the end of this message, remember this one powerful truth: everything begins within. The world you experience tomorrow is being shaped by the thoughts, assumptions, and feelings you entertain today. You do not need to know every step. You do not need to force outcomes. You do not need to chase what is already seeking expression through you. Your responsibility is simple. Remain faithful to the vision of the life you desire. Feel it, accept it, live from it. Trust it. When doubts arise, return to the feeling of fulfillment. When circumstances seem unchanged, remember that appearances are temporary. Every great transformation begins invisibly before it becomes visible. The seed grows beneath the surface long before anyone sees the flower. So from this moment forward, stop asking whether your desire will happen. Instead, ask yourself, how would I think, feel, and act if I knew it was already done? Hold that feeling. Return to it often. Make it your dwelling place. And watch as life begins to reflect the reality you first created within. Everything you desire is already on its way to you. Believe it, feel it, live it, and allow it to unfold. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who may need this reminder. Also, leave a comment below with the words, "I accept that everything I desire is already on its way to me." Your declaration strengthens your commitment to a new reality. Thank you for watching, thank you for your support, and most importantly, thank you for choosing to believe in greater possibilities for your life. Until next time, continue to assume the best, expect the best, and watch your world transform.